For the offense?
I think really good. I think Coach Day did a really nice job coming off the last game with school wrapping up and having some practices that kind of kept us going without overdoing it. Coach Vic had a couple of lifts during the week while we were recruiting for a couple of those weeks. Got a little bit of young guy work, enough to kind of keep the old guys engaged without overdoing it, burning them out, kind of keep it sharp. And then really kind of had a game week preparation prior to being here. And we showed up on a Monday of really a Saturday game week, so kind of a normal flow, which you try to be able to. It's all when the game is on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So today we're on Wednesday. We've kind of already done Tuesday, Wednesday. So we've been pretty healthy as far as guys who don't being there every day. And I think the format of what Coach Day and Coach Vic want to do have kept our guys engaged. They've been, typically we have a chance to play well, we practice well. We've practiced very, very well. So we'll see if we finish the week up and finish strongly here today and tomorrow as we wrap up the prep.
In terms of personnel, when you take Nick out of the mix there at the left tackle, I assume Thayer will kick out. Was that a surprise for you guys, or had you been planning to make a move for that?
Well, I mean, we'd always, in the world of transfer portal and all that, everybody's like made a big deal about the tackles playing. Well, first we're trying to keep the guys engaged and make sure they're all playing and happy. And it's also really good players. So the thought all along was with Nick, and when Thayer made the move to go to guard, he would still be the guy on the left side, and Parrish would be the guy on the right side. You're in a right-handed stance, your communication's the same, the guys you're kind of working with are the same. So the thought process was that was the guards that were the backup tackles, and then we really liked what Donovan Jackson and what Matt Jones can do for us at guard, and they're equally just as good, and in some ways maybe better body types than the guard. Those with Josh Fryer and with Luke have been our best seven, best eight guys combo. So the deal would be naturally, Thayer would be the first crack out there. If we had to do it, then Parrish would be the next one that would go to the left side.
Was there any thought at all about this for this game, like letting Parrish get a start in the next year out there?
I brought that up, but at the same time, the stress of the game and going from right-handed stance to left-handed stance, and he played very, very well. Recently, he's been practicing great. And I think in the offseason, I guess you kind of look between him and one and figure out who needs to be at left, who needs to be at right. There'll be some conversations that can happen as you get into February in the spring ball and moving forward and have some continuity. I think there's other guys that are ready to step up, and it's the time of year though. Now a little bit more with some of the early out deals, but we've recruited very well throughout the years. Sometimes it takes a year or two to get your niche. A couple years ago, we were out here, and there's an injury. All of a sudden, Wyatt Davis had to start. And that was the kickoff to him having been a great season, 2 great years, and an early out pro. And that's the opportunities that these guys have. So it gives an opportunity now to get Matt on the field a lot more and hopefully get Donovan out there as well.
Coach Kade Stover moving to defense again, it looks like. Can you talk about what went into that decision?
I asked the defense guy. I think we just thought they were a little bit shy of some body types with a couple of the injuries. And we thought with Jeremy and Mitch, Joe Royer's really come on very, very well. He'll be the third. Matter of fact, he's technically the second tight end of this game, with Mitch being the fullback kind of tight end. And then we got G. Scott. So we thought we had enough guys to manage a 1 week deal, and then we'll see how this goes. And then with recruiting, we can decide then what's moved, what goes. In my opinion, first of all, I've had a lot of fun with it because I love him, and so I do everything I can to give him as much grief as I can because when I love you, I like to grief him a little bit. And I got a lot of respect for him, and he's brought a lot of energy. When you say how's practice been, he's brought a lot of energy to the defense. I think playing offense has helped him understand maybe some offensive looks at what's going on, so his anticipation looks better, and he's practiced well. It'll be interesting to see how the defensive guys want to use him. It's been fun going against him, and we personally kind of look each other up and have a little fun with each other as we practice. It's been really good.
So for this week, he's just playing linebacker?
Yes. We could use him in goal line short yardage situations, but I think again with Joe, G, and the other guys we have, typically we've only went, when we get 2 big goal line sets, sometimes we put 3 or 4 guys out there. But I think for what we're doing, we can either, we got it ready where he can be out there for goal line, but we also could use the other guys. But the bulk of normal down football, he has played defense the whole time, and we have played offense with Jeremy, with Joe, with G, and with Mitch Rossi.
Kevin, you're probably when you talk defense.
Excuse me?
Your impressions of what you've seen from Utah defense on tape?
I mean, they're always good. It's Kyle. It's what he's known for. That's what he did when he was a coordinator. So I had the opportunity to play with him in a golf outing out in Arizona years ago, one of the coaches' meetings that we had years and years ago. So I got a lot of respect for him. The team plays with his personality and his toughness. They've recruited well, kids that fit their culture. They've been there so long. He and Coach Ferentz are the two elder statesmen of college ball now. It says a lot in this day and age to be a guy that can withstand and maintain the culture of the team and the vibe of the team. The kids keep embracing behind him, the community and fan base behind him. They play very aggressive in what they do. They tackle well, don't miss a lot of tackles. Defensively, they're one of the best in the nation. I think someone said they don't have a lot of interceptions, but they lead they're one of the tops in the nation in pass breakups. So that means you're still playing good pass. So you sit there and look at some things. There are two inside linebackers, 0-1 flat round, two guys off the edge, create a havoc. You always got stout, strong, leverage players inside. They're outstanding, and they're going to be a challenge, a huge challenge.
Kevin, I assume you'd prefer to have Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave playing, but where's the excitement level to see the young receivers in this game?
Well, when you say excitement, I'm sure they're excited. That'll be one of the things for us to kind of keep them calmed down. They have played, but the aura of the game, their first time, to really have the opportunity. And, sometimes when you play those skill positions, when you squeeze too tight and try too hard, it doesn't go your way. How to just let the game come to you, play as hard as you can, play well without the ball, and all of a sudden the ball will find you, and you make those cosmetic plays that make it look like you had a great game because of one or two or three catches. So the real deal early, we just get them to settle down, even though they played at the hype of the Rose Bowl. The opponent we're playing, the exposure of TV in a big game. At the same time, I think as coaches, I think they've all been shared the stories of you came here to play in these games, and now it's your time. It's a great opportunity to springboard and jumpstart your next season, as you see what Mecca and Julian and Mark and those guys will do.
Do you have to build in, say, like the first quarter, they're not going to be as precise as maybe they should be just because of the excitement? Do you have to build that into the game plan?
I don't know if you, you don't want to build into the game, but you got to be ready to adapt to that. We even made the comment, the game one against Minnesota. I think we had of the 11 starters on offense, 8 guys. It was their first time starting in the position they played. Like Garrett was going from slot back to outside. It's kind of a new position. And so I think it was Chris and it was Jeremy Rucker. I can't remember who the third guy was. It was it was playing in the spot that he had played in. I think it was Jackson because he had played last year. Everybody was playing in a new spot. They were going to guard, Nick going to tackle, DeJuan in the deal, Paris in the deal, Luke in the deal, CJ's first start. And Minnesota did a great job of ball control. We didn't have a lot of opportunity, but early in the game we were a little bit off. We finally settled down, made a few plays in the second half, and had a good second half of that game. But we were a little bit off. So you like to think, want to like to think, but you would think there's a chance early in this game. How do you play if you're a little bit off? And at the same time, because Utah's a great offensive team that runs the ball well, can play ball control, they play outstanding defense. If we don't execute and we have limited plays, you're going to get into an ugly game. So we want to minimize what you said. We anticipate it could happen. We have to find a way to minimize that, play through the ugliness, and hopefully get into some rhythm and have a great game.
Do you think Jackson stays in the slot next year?
What are some of the areas that you've seen CJ grow into this season? What are some of the areas of his game that you've seen grow throughout this season?
I think everyone can see the plays that he makes as far as the ability to decision making and throws. But I think the two things to me where he's grown a lot, being a young player, is the way he is prepared in practice, which you guys don't see. The time he puts in for a young player, studying the game, watching tape, and grasping that information, and then taking the information that he has to the field has been outstanding. So his ability to become a great preparation player as a young player is off the chart. And the second thing is he's become in his own right, in his own way, a pretty good vocal leader for a team. Early in the year, you're a quarterback, you're supposed to lead, but you haven't played, so you're kind of quiet. As the year went along, not that there's a lot of team meetings, or not that he's grabbing the bull by the horn and just doing everything, but you see him a lot more comfortable speaking up, talking to players, telling them what he sees. There was a play the other day, and he said, "Hey, now, coach, if so-and-so does this, now he gets that safety's going to concern me a little bit." And I said, "Hey, he actually ran a little bit wrong, but I agree with your point." And then I shared that with my player, and that was CJ just coming to me and said, "Coach, now," and a play we called. He goes, now if he gets a little bit, I got to worry about the safety right there. And so his ability to just get more and more comfortable communicating, talking, and his ability to prepare has been awesome. And those, as a young player, that's why he's had such a great year, and he sets up to have a great career for us.
What do you see off the field? What are you seeing from him off the field as far as the characteristics?
I think he's very calm, very level-headed. Again, when you stay off the field with all the hype and notoriety, you still see him coming in and spending as much time preparing and studying. So in this day and age where you can get pulled, a lot of people get in your ear, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. I think he understands to play well, he needs to prepare well. And I've just seen him stay very, very grounded with all the notoriety. You don't see a guy that's very boastful. You don't see a guy pat himself on the back, very complimentary of his teammates, but again, doing a great job of preparing and working.
Do you watch that closely to see if there is an effect of the limelight? He's gone from the spotlight to the limelight. You're always in the spotlight when you're a Ohio State quarterback, but Heisman finalist, it's a different step altogether. Have you kind of like watched him to see if there's been a change?
I personally know. I'm sure Ryan Kade Stover is with that, and I think he has a good sense of a lot more things going on behind the scenes and the distractions. We do talk about our players, just the distractions our players have from the things you guys are holding in your hand, and all the information that they're reading. I was talking to a player that plays on the defensive side today about, in my opinion, some things that I think it'd be good for him to do as he goes through the offseason. He goes, every time I read Twitter, I go, well, it's just a negative thought, because you're getting challenged. Why don't you do this, or why did you do that or that? You got parents in their ears, you got the agents, you got the branding, you got the NIL, you got all kinds of things pulling guys. The great players are still the talented, most humble, hardest working, best practice players. And CJ's had a great year because he's talented, but the way he's prepared and his humble has made him a special player. He actually did something the other day and actually challenged my son. And my son said something about it, and I said, well, that's the Heisman guy saying something to you. When I was a freshman, Lawrence Taylor didn't know who I was. And I go, you guys, it just shows what kind of teammate, you have an upper-level teammate saying, hey, man, I need to see you do this. And I said, I would use that as a positive challenge because one of the premier players in the country is asking you to pick your game up. I think that's a heck of a compliment. I think that shows what kind of leader CJ is.
Kevin, real quick, too, has Jackson, have you noticed him step up in that, not necessarily the wide receiver room, that's not where you are, but on the field, et cetera. Suddenly now he's the leader of that young group coming back and stuff. Obviously, Chris Olave's here, but he's not playing. I mean, what have you noticed, I guess, rise in Jackson Smith-Njigba is more of a leader kind of guy?
Well, to say he's been different in what we've been now in practice, I think that probably 10 or 11 practices, to say he's been significantly different. He, like CJ, has had a great year. He's a great practice player. He practices every day. He shows up every day. He competes at one-on-ones. I mean, so just the way he continues just to practice is the best. Leadership is best coupled with performance, and he performs very, very well. He practices very, very well. He commands the ball because he gets open, and to me, he just keeps practicing. So that'd be a question for Coach Hardline. And how is he maybe one-on-one with some guys? I see in my world over there, Jeremy Rucker, and I see Jeremy grabbing Joe after playing. So next time that linebacker does it, lean into it a little bit more, snap out a little bit more. Those are things I see because I'm working with Jeremy. I'm sure Jax is doing that. But right now, I just see a guy that's had one of the best years in college football continue to practice as good as anyone on our team. That's a great ball.
One of the quickie, has Kade Stover the last month or so proven his worth to this football team from the standpoint of playing defense against Michigan? I mean, he's practicing with the defense now and stuff. I mean, what would you say, how would you explain Kade Stover this summer?
Well, we'll go through after this game and decide long term. And I said this to him when we talked to him. I said, I don't want to hear what's best for the team, because what's best for the team sometimes is a bunch of crap. When you're a player, that's what's best for you. If you don't want to go over defense, we'll stay right here. We'll keep playing. You got a good role. You got a great opportunity to play in this game. You can play special teams. He's been a great special team player for us. I said, life's fine if you think it's something you want to do. So now that as we finish this game up, we'll get back after our quick break, and we'll get in January. We'll start getting a plan for spring. I do think we're getting to the point, though, we need to get a direction for him so he can have high success. So whether that be he's coming back, we're going to be a tight end, because with Jeremy, Mitch being seniors, there's going to be a great opportunity at tight end. Right now there's a little bit of void at linebacker. There's an opportunity there. I will say this, I think he loves playing over there and brings a lot of energy and a lot of fun. And I think he's been good for the defense in this short period of time. Coach will talk about what's best for the team. Personally, I want what's best for Kade. He's one of my favorite guys on the whole team. He's been a pleasure to coach, selfishly, I'd like to do it. I'm going to do what's best for the team. I just want to make sure it's best for Kade Stover.
If you were to move to linebacker, is the tight end room where you want it to be for next year, or do you guys have to look at the portal?
That will be some. The issue you'd have though is we won't make any hard decisions for Kade until after the spring semester starts. So if there's anything on that realm, it'd be later. And I don't know if that's good with the transition to summertime and to get a guy up to speed. So we think and look at that a little bit. We got Ben Christian coming in. Our mathematical numbers are to have 5. So right now we would have Joe, G, Sam Hart, and Bennett coming in. And then we'll see. I mean, we're still going back and forth with Mitch. If he wanted to play another year, he could. I think he's trying to figure that out. What's the grad school opportunities? Is he ready to go on? So potentially, I guess there's a chance that Mitch could be with us. We're not forcing that. We're just seeing if that's something he wants to do. Cade would be the 5th one, or then we'll have to look and see and say if we have a good portal opportunity.
How do you feel about G. Scott's development in that position, given that it's a year now?
He's very, very. First of all, he's a different, a tight end. He's not a true tight end, just size-wise yet. And so he's gotten his weight into the mid-220s. He does not lack courage or the ability to want to block or the toughness. He actually is very, very strong. If you go to the weight room, he's strong. He does need the old quote-unquote a little bit more lead in the pencil, just when I'm blocking guys to have the mask anchored down and firm up some things. But that being said, too, he's a guy that then flexes out as a receiving tight end better than those guys. So, sometimes the tight end has his hand down. Sometimes he's kind of playing in the backfield. Like that backfield guy is really good for Mitch Rossi. When Mitch flexes out, he does that a lot in practice, and he's good at that. But he's more comfortable as a backfield type player. And so G is going to be a little bit more comfortable right now as a tight end that does a lot of complementary tight end things on the fringe, and is a little bit more as a big receiver. And then graduating a couple of receivers or those guys going out early, there's an opportunity to niche there. So his role would be a little bit more of a tight end / H receiver versus Mitch Rossi's a tight end / H fullback. And you still ask them to do some things, but you play to their strengths. And right now that's where he is. To be a complete tight end, though, we got to continue to get a little bit more weight and continue to enhance that. So he's had a good first year. I think he's had a frustrating first year because I think competitively he wants to play a lot more than where he is. And he's playing a position that a lot of times, like O-line, it takes about a good 2 years to get up to speed with all the skills you have to do. Because he's basically playing, I was talking to George Kittle, I had him with our group a year ago. When you're a tight end, you play left tackle half the time, you play wide receiver half the time. If you go to the NFL, you make half the money they make too, but you're doing both jobs. And so for G to get good at those jobs, it just takes time. Because there's not enough time really to practice it. You're kind of practicing as you play. And that's why the ability to stay healthy, like Jeremy, Jeremy's been out there every day. Mitch Rossi's out there every day. The ability of those guys like Joe Royer and G to be out there every day, they'll develop and we'll understand.
What kind of luxury is it to have a guy like Thayer, when Nick makes the decision, he can go back to left tackle and you don't miss a beat?
Yeah, first of all, I would go back to it shows what kind of young man he is. You come back for your senior year and play tackle, which is where all the notoriety is. And now, by the way, hey, we need you to go play guard, would you? So to be the teammate, I think that's why he was recognized as being the guy that wears the block O, because the sacrifice goes in this day and age. Hey, what about me? I know in my career, a lot of guys think they need to play left tackle. I've had Lane Johnson at right tackle, I had Trent Williams at right tackle. I had a bunch of right tackles make a lot of money. You want to be really good. I think it says a lot for Thayer, just the teammate, team leader he is, to do that. And now the luxury that he has the skill set to come back and play the tackle on the bench. That's great, but I have a lot of respect for him to be humble enough to, at the same time, too, I think his future maybe is a guard, so I don't think he's hurt himself. It says a lot for him as a young man. When you got a lot of people here about what you need to do, he made one of the biggest sacrifices for the team this year.
Matt Jones has obviously been in and out and played different roles for you guys. It sounds like he may step in at that guard position. Again, another guy who it sounds like is kind of sacrificed for the team. Is that a fair assessment?
No doubt. And he, to me, he's been a little bit, maybe as a young guy, sometimes immature with maybe the practice habits or the consistency. But his talent and skill set and ability to play, to be a tremendous player is really, really high. And for him to to just battle through and keep showing up when I'm year 2 not playing or year 3 not playing. Now he's into year 4, and this will be like last year. He started the Sugar Bowl, I think he started the Orange Bowl, then started me. So he's had some quality starts for us. He's played a lot, but we've had enough depth where he's been like, of the 5 linemen, he's been like number 6 and number 7, where he's had to play left guard, had to play right guard, had to practice at center. I think he made honorable mention All Big Ten as a 6th lineman. I think it shows what people see in him when they see him play. I think he's a tremendous player. I think he sets up to play very well in this game against some great competition. I think he sets up well and have a great 5th-year season and move on to be an NFL player. I think that's neat.
Kevin, how would you describe the intensity of preparation in the last 2-3 weeks?
I think it's been really good. We did not have a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions about our last performance. I think we have a lot of coaches. I think we have a lot of players that have a lot of pride, and it just kind of showed up every day and practiced extremely hard. Been very. We've done a fair amount of ones on ones and ones on twos. One because I think we've just gotten thin enough that sometimes our scout team or threes were getting very thin. So I think just to have good work with and quite honestly, some of the things that I think both teams do offensively and defensively, we can get some decent looks, kind of going against each other, not be wasted practice plays. We're not going against like an odd 3-man front team like Tulsa that played a 3-3 deal. So we've had a lot of just very competitive practices. I wouldn't say preseason or spring ball like, but more like that than a game week, and it's been fun.
How excited are the guys who will replace Garrett and Chris? They played a little.
Yeah, they've played and done well, and I'm sure they're very excited. I mean, they Coach Hartline, if he were sitting here, would have told you the last 5 or 6 weeks, Marvin Harris has practiced as well as any receiver we've had. And he's now, it's one thing doing practice, now take the driving range to the golf course. Okay, now take it to the Rose Bowl. Take it against a quality defensive football team. But he has been off the chart in practice in his details. He's very mature. You know, Chris and Garrett, those guys still got the bulk of the plays. They were getting their opportunities. But Emek has shown flashes of being outstanding. Julian's gotten in there. He's healthy and doing well. And Marvin has been a great practice player. So I think with those 3 plus Jackson, you got Jeremy in the mix with Joe and Mitch, and we got Wiggs and some guys we'll throw out there. We'll be very aggressive and we'll attack these guys the best we can.
Kevin, is there a benefit at all for you guys having Chris in the lobby and practice and use some of stuff?
I mean, that'd be for. I mean, we've he's been there every day getting individual stuff. We did very minimal with what again. No one really said till we got here what was or wasn't playing. So I think I think he likes being around his brothers. I think he likes being around his teammates. I think he likes practicing, and they're making decisions they think's best for his future. I think he's trying to still be a great team leader, a great teammate, and be here. But again, some of Chris's best things in leadership is by example. Instead of he's a verbal guy, but he's not overly outgoing on the verbal page deal. So I think him being out there just doing some right things in practice and making some bullet points to receivers is one of his best ways of leading and how he's trying to lead and finish up off his role as a couple team leaders.
I'm sure that you would love to have Chris and Garrett out there, but could it be helpful and beneficial for those receivers and for CJ to play in this kind of setting with those young guys, start to develop that chemistry for next year? How helpful could that be?
Well, and to me though, in our sport, you pop the pads, you got to reestablish the chemistry and the timing and all those things. But from a confidence standpoint, in an arena, it's one thing doing practice. Like I say, Marvin has practiced as well as any receiver we've had for about 2 months now. It's been ridiculous how well he's practiced. Well, now take that to the game field. Have an opportunity in critical moments to take it to the game field, critical third down, critical score zone situations, normal down one-on-one plays. And so to have that opportunity this year as opposed to next year probably gives you a little bit more self-assurance, or maybe also shows you where you're still lacking. So sometimes even in practice, as good as it looks, you can still be a little bit off. So to go through some of those growing pains, even though it's a huge game and a must-win game, it's still going to be a great opportunity for those teams as we springboard into 22 as well.
In your position, you're a little good there. You're losing Joe. I guess what is your thoughts on your position?
Well, I like, first of all, one of the reasons is we do like the way Joe Warrior and what G has shown and the potential. We like the young guys we've signed. I think Joe is setting himself up well to be a quality player. I mean, his skill set, he's getting more mature, more consistent. So we'll see where Kade stays. I think we'll have a discussion here. Again, we're not. Again, some comments I made earlier. Don't want to do what's best for the team, what's best for Kade. Where's his best opportunity? Not to help our team, but help him, because I know he wants to be an NFL type player. Is that coming back to being a tight end? Because if we have Kade and Joe and G, 3 pretty good ones, and we're actually looking to consider if Mitch Rossi wants the next year because he can get it. And then you got Sam Hart and Ben Christian coming in. That's not too bad. That's a pretty good group. If Cade's out, Mitch don't come back with a little thin, then we'll have to figure something out. But that's college ball. It's a revolving door right now. I've seen a quarterback room look like one thing, and then the next semester it's completely different bodies. It was still good bodies.
Transfer portal for options, I'm assuming it is.
Yeah, the only issue in spring is you're getting close on time, semester starting, then it might have to be a late. And then that's where Coach Day's always done a great job of not getting guys just to put on the roster, but is there a niche, is there a need, and does this guy fit? And if you look at the guys we brought in, whether it be Jonah Jackson or Ruggs this year, and the kick, I mean, the guys we brought in have hit for the most part really, really high. So if we do something, it'll be because there's a need and we think there's a guy that's going to come in and pop for us.
I think there are a bunch of head coaching jobs over this offseason. Is that something that you pursued at all?
You guys, I appreciate the accolades. Got a bunch of my teammates and friends. I never had a conversation with anyone. No disrespect to them. But I appreciate whoever threw that out there. It was kind of, at least I had a bunch of former players and colleagues in me. One of you guys hit me that day about good luck on Akron. And then like 30 minutes later, one of my old coaches hit me up and I go, what's up with Akron? Like, he goes, what it says is you're so I'm getting old enough that maybe the opportunity's not. I'd love to have that opportunity, but I do love every day working with Ryan at Ohio State, what we do and the opportunities here. And so by no means am I at a point where, I'm just dying to do something. I think if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I have I'm at one of the best places, one of the best jobs, having as much fun as I've ever had. I love coaching the kids we work with. My family loves it here. It's kind of neat. My son's here. I never thought that when he showed up. It's kind of neat here. He's here. By no means am I content, because we need to play a hell of a lot better than we just played. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we can do, but I thoroughly love where we're at and what we do. Dealing with you guys, it's pretty good. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.
Happy New Year, man.